We have an amazing guest speaker with us tonight. Chris Engel, he was the president of Toastmasters at Ponte Vedra. He is a wonderful member of our parish. He led our Toastmasters group here for this past summer, so some of you may have seen him around the church. He was a team captain last year at Fraternus, and we are so glad to have him with us. And he has some of the worst dad jokes I've ever heard, but they are amazing. So please give him a warm welcome.
Where is he?
That's one thing I wasn't prepared for. That was the one thing I wasn't prepared for. Can I promise you that I'll bring 2 dad jokes next week?
No.
Two dad jokes next week. Yeah?
Bring one now. Now. Bring one now.
So today's presentation is called A Man's Search for Meaning. Has anybody ever heard that statement before?
I've heard it, but not like.
Does it sound like something that's important to consider?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Do you ever think about what's meaningful in your life?
Yeah.
A little bit? Like, why are we here? What's my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Ever? Let me show of hands. Who thinks about that?
Honestly, I don't.
Who has just never thought about that?
Me.
Well, I hope I change your mind. Before we get into this presentation, there's a clip I'd like to show you. Now, this is a clip from when I was a young man, and it is from a movie called The Dead Poets Society. Just as a backdrop, these young men are in effectively what's like a sleepaway high school, right? Not college, high school. And they've got this professor who's a little bit interesting. You may recognize him. His name is Robin Williams. There's a particular scene where he asks them to consider the purpose by using a phrase in Latin, carpe diem. Does anybody know what carpe diem means? Excellent, Alex. So let's get into the clip.
Mr. Fitz. It's a rather unfortunate name. Where are you? Mr. Fitz, you open your hymnal to page 542. Read the first stanza of the poem you find there.
Diversions to make much of time?
Yes. One. I'm going to probe.
Some closed captions. That's what I'm looking for.
Isn't it?
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may, old time is still a flying. And this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying.
Thank you, Mr. Fitz.
You know, you always just try to do the right thing. That's a new way, right?
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. The Latin term for that sentiment is carpe diem. Who knows what that means? Carpe diem. That's seize the day. Very good, Mr. Meeks. Meeks. Another unusual name. Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Why does the writer use these lines? Because he's in a hurry. No. Ding! Thanks for playing anyway. Because we are food for worms, lads. Because believe it or not, each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. I'd like you to step forward over here and peruse some of the faces from the past. You've walked past them many times. I don't think you've really looked at them. They're not that different from you, are they? Same haircuts, full of hormones, just like you. Invincible, just like you feel. The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things, just like many of you. Their eyes are full of hope, just like you. Did they wait till it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable? Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. If you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in. Listen. You hear it?
The dads, kids, the parents will be mad. Arms stand up.
Ma'am, go ahead.
So what's the point? Somebody tell me what's the point? What's he talking about? Why do we care? What's he saying? Tell me. What's he saying?
He's saying that seize the moment while you can because no one lives forever.
Great. Anyone else?
To take advantage of your opportunities because you might only get them once.
Beautiful. Anyone else? Any of the men in the back remember being that young? Remember what you were thinking back then? About what life was going to look like in the future?
Focused on the next 5 minutes, the next hour. I wasn't focused on the next week, the next 6 months, the next year.
Yeah, same way. I bet if you turn around and look at the men behind you, you probably think there's this gigantic gap between you and them, right? They look so much older, don't they? I want to tell you, my brain's still probably like 20 years old in my head. That seems a far way off for you guys, but I find that I still have similar thoughts when I was younger. I still think I'm a lot younger. And so carpe diem is really important. As men, we think about what is it that we want to do while we're here. And you should already be contemplating those things even at your right young age. You are growing into men right before our eyes. So this is called Man's Search for Meaning. We're going to make the connection here in just a second. The agenda. What is Man's Search for Meaning? The book. Viktor Frankl, the author. What was life like in the camps? Can anybody guess what I mean by the camps? This may be a difficult subject.
Concentration camp.
Yes, sir. Sad story. Matter of fact, in a week I'll be visiting Dachau, just outside of Munich. It's part of my trip with a friend of mine. We'll also be going out for the fest. 10 ideas for Man's Search for Meaning, finding purpose. And in that sense, we're going to go over what our family vision and values are, eulogy values, and a personal vision. Sounds like big adult stuff, right? But even at this very moment, you can grapple with this. So Man's Search for Meaning was published in 1946, and about 13 years later, was published in English. 16 million copies in 52 languages. One of the 10 most influential books of all time. And the book is broken into two parts. The first part is about life in the concentration camps. And the other is something called logotherapy, which is effectively, as a psychiatrist, he would use this logotherapy to help people through their challenges. Okay, and we'll go over that. The will to meaning, and what that means, and something called the existential vacuum, finding that gap between who you are now and who you hope to be. Okay. Again, he was a psychologist. He was 37 years old when he entered the concentration camps. He was married for only 9 months at that time. And he went to 4 camps in just a 3 to 4 year period. And again, inventor of this idea of logotherapy.
Did he survive the concentration camps?
Yes, sir. This is the entrance to one of the concentration camps. This is the railroad that would run into the center of the camp. When he described entering the camp, they would come in a straight line, and they would come up to this German officer, and the German officer would look at the person in front of them, dead in the eyes, and he would go either like this or like that. Most of the people went like that. Some people went that way. Everyone that went that way didn't survive. Well, he went that way. His wife, his parents, and other family members went that way. He didn't know at the time that if he went that way, that was the end. So the entire time he was in the camp, he was imagining his wife. It was one of the things that actually sustained him, his relationship with his wife. The person he loved so deeply. It was the thing that helped him survive the challenges of the camps. And part of this story, and I think it's important to tell, is that despite all the suffering, part of his idea of logotherapy, to counsel the other inmates, was to show them and to remind them that their suffering itself had meaning. You think, like, what are you talking about? Meaning we're in a concentration camp. How could it possibly have meaning? Well, it's a lesson for us as well, because we might not be in concentration camps. We may not face anything like that in our entire lives, but we definitely have challenges and we definitely experience suffering. And we can indeed find meaning in those challenges and in those sufferings. It's an important lesson. One of the things he would say to the inmates was, the reason why you must continue and persist and survive is there are people who you need to shoulder the burden for, to have responsibility for. They're waiting for you when you leave this place. And that alone as a man, that sustained these inmates, if you can believe it. So 10 key ideas from the book. First, again, as I sort of just touched on, life never ceases to have meaning. Even suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment that it finds a meaning. Famous quote, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. You guys have a why? Are there people in your life right now that are so important to you that they're part of who you are, part of your why? A couple hands. We probably have a husband, a wife, and children, maybe parents, maybe grandparents. Maybe you even love a pet at home. Deeply love a pet in different kind of love, right? 9. Tension, striving, and struggling for a worthwhile goal are positive. Trying to close the gap between what one is and what one should become is part of the goal. That's part of what we're trying to do. And that's what, as fathers, we try to do for our children. We are not imagining you just as you are now. We're imagining you as you can become what you will be. We put all our energy into you, deeply putting our energy into you because we love you, because we want you to become the best, absolute best version of yourselves. And we see that gap, and we know where you're going, and we know that you can get there. No matter the circumstances, you're sitting there on a Sunday night, I didn't get my homework done. Oh man, I got so much stuff to do, right? Anyone ever been in that case? Yeah? Okay, yeah. And usually, who caused that strife? Yeah, I'm seeing some of the dads in the back. I mean, we always do. We're the ones that cause that, right? But you have a choice in that. You can adopt your responsibility right now, right then and there. Don't fight it. Don't push it. Don't procrastinate. And if you do, just accept the fact that that's what you chose to do. Maybe you should do something differently next time. But you always have the last of the human freedoms to choose your attitude in every single moment, right? We can be really negative about stuff, or we can be extremely positive and we say, this is going to work out. As it always does, and as it always has in the past, right? Everything always works out, right? Have you ever been nervous about the grade that you're about to go into and thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get through 6th grade? How was 6th grade? How was 5th grade? In hindsight. Horrible? How about the grades 3 grades ago? Does it seem easy in comparison now? Of course. Every challenge in front of you is challenging, but we always get through it, don't we? But it's your attitude that helps you through it. Humans are self-actualizing. It's your responsibility to make it happen. That just means take action. Right? It's not just ideas. You have to take action. You see something that you want to go for, take a shot at it. Go for it. 6. The meaning of life is unique to each individual. No one can be replaced. We all imagine this world as a gigantic puzzle, right? And you are a single puzzle piece in this giant tapestry, this gigantic puzzle. No? Don't like it? You fit just a certain way in the world, and part of your goal is to find exactly, through the help of God, constantly talking to God, find exactly what your role, exactly the piece that you fit in this beautiful puzzle, this world that God made for us. Also, the meaning of life is unique to each moment. No situation repeats itself. Okay, so in the book, he has this idea. He goes, imagine if you're talking to a chess champion. Anybody play chess?
What do?
Awesome. Tough game, right? Every game's just a little bit different, isn't it? And he says, imagine walking up to a chess champion and I say, what is the greatest chess move in the world? What do you think the chess champion says? What?
The scholar's maze is the greatest move in the world.
Scholar's maze?
Or move.
I want to play
I've used
chess
it.
with you.
I've used it against people a million times.
So do you do that
Wait,
move?
what do you
I
say?
need to learn about that.
The scholar's maze.
But the chess champion, can you use that move every single time?
No, because it can be countered or blocked.
No situation repeats itself. Life is unique to each moment. The chess master doesn't have a single best move. He looks out, surveys the chessboard, and decides what move is the next move, trying to size up his opponent as to what move the other opponent's going to counter with, right? As you just said. This is the way life works. You can't sit and plan every single move all the way out. You should plan and you can plan, but you've got to take action and survey the board just as it is in front of you and let everything else go. You don't need to worry about tons and tons of stuff, like all the things that could happen, right? Size up the situation as it is. This is one of my favorite. Happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue, must follow, as a side effect of a reason to be happy. We're going to find out what might make us happy. But as he's saying, you can't pursue happiness directly. Can anyone kind of think about why that might be true? If he's right, if he's indeed right? Mr. Chess Champion.
Because if you pursue happiness, you might not find that it's actually as happy, or you're trying to force it into your heart. You're not just letting it naturally come in.
I wish I was that smart when I was your age. That's brilliant. Yeah. Life asks you the meaning of life by questioning you. You don't ask life. It's not what you expect from life, but what life expects from you. What does that mean? Somebody.
You are in life, so life is controlled by you.
That's one interpretation. It's interesting. I'm curious what gentleman behind you.
Your life gives you what you have to pursue your life, and it's your decision to where to go and what to do.
It's sort of demanding something from you, right? You're not sort of waiting for it to necessarily happen, which I think is a little bit different.
So it's like questioning you. You don't ask it. It gives you the answers. You don't go trying pushing your way through trying to find it. So just let everything kind of flow freely.
Yes.
Not everything is planned out. You just have to create yourself.
Yeah. I also like to think of it as it's not what you expect from life, but what life expects from you. You're on a mission, and that you're expected to go meet those challenges directly. You're supposed to go seek them out. You're supposed to go after it. Does that make sense? So as you can see, this isn't number one yet. Number one will come. When I took a step back and was trying to figure out what life's all about, one of the ideas I came up with was to sit and think about all the roles that I occupy, right? You're definitely somebody's son. You might have some siblings. You have grandparents. If you're lucky enough, maybe your grandparents, great-grandparents are still around. Uncles, cousins. But you also occupy some other roles. I asked my son this yesterday, and he said, what role do you occupy? And he looked at me and said, protector. Hey, that's pretty cool. So not just like I'm a husband, son, or brother, but that you have specific roles, specific things that you do because of who you are. So what I wanted to do here was chronicle for myself, and I think you should consider doing this for yourself. You and all the things that you occupy in terms of roles. As a volunteer, I'm very passionate about freedom and education and coaching and protecting the vulnerable. As a family man, I'm a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. Eventually, I'll be able to put the circle for grandfather. Please don't hurry me up, right? My daughter's oldest is 19. but we occupy these roles. And in that thought, and I challenge you to do something similar, to come up with a mission with your parents, with your siblings, about what your family stands for. This is ours. To love and trust one another for the whole of our lives, with a fun and passionate attitude, and a plan for the future, such that we can live and support one another in the present moment, united through tradition and spirited innovation. I mean, that makes the hairs on my arms stand up. I hope that when you write your mission together with your family, that you have the same feelings every time you read that. So I think about my family, my wife, my kids, my parents, and that's how we wrote that. The values we decide to stand for, I won't read every single one of them, but you get the gist, right? What do we stand for? What are the things that we're trying to chase? Virtue, essentially. Make your own list. Work with your families. And then this other idea. What is purpose? I found out not that long ago that this is not an original idea. Should have known. This world's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, so somebody else certainly came up with the idea. Does anybody know what eulogy means? This is where we tie back to carpe diem. Eulogy? Yes.
I think it's something that's like written when you die.
The way I think about it is, when I pass away, as we all will become food for worms, as was said in the movie. Just like those young men in the black and white photo. I would hope that I had an impact on somebody such that they would be willing to say just a few words about me. And my eulogy values, and this is how I align with purpose, would be one-word answers. That I would hope that they would use those words to describe how I lived. And I recommend this as an option for you to consider. And the only way they would use those words, would it be if I just did them one time? Or never at all? No, of course not. It would be if I did them daily, openly, and that everybody could see me doing it, and the evidence of it was in the world. That meant taking action, right? I hope that they would describe me as generous and wise, honorable, heroic. Someone who believes that love is important. Because the greatest of these, of course, is love. As Frankl says, by his love, a man enables others to actualize their potential. This is pulling this all together. By making others aware of what they can be and what they should become, he makes those potentialities come true. That existential vacuum between what we can become. That's what we're doing, and that's what I hope that you adopt as men as you grow. Yes, sir?
What does it mean by sort of when it says it's quoted by Victor Frankl?
Well, it wasn't his exact words, so I pieced them together through a couple different phrases. It was like a gigantic paragraph, right? It's a good question. Yeah, think fast. Yeah. So love, number one. Love is the ultimate and the highest goal to which you can aspire. If I get everything wrong, but I get this right, I will have lived the life that I had wanted. Someday, you'll be standing right here, next to the woman that you love more than anything you can possibly imagine. Oh yeah, you're going to get into fights, and you're going to have to figure it out. Right, man? I don't see anybody shaking their head. And then you're going to have beautiful children who look sort of like her, sort of like him. Thank God they look more like her. Your parents, if you have parents, and a grandmother who be there to celebrate with you on what? Your confirmation. My mission, to seek opportunities and investment of my time, talent, and treasure which maximize human liberty, human agency, and therefore human prosperity. I hope that you will write your own vision. You've seen this one already. To me, this is a major thing I wanted to hit you with. This is what the ultimate man looks like. honest and meaningful work. Thumbs up. Fully accepts his responsibility. Sacrifices himself for a greater cause. That's where the potential for happiness and success comes in. When you pursue something which is much greater than yourself, you constantly pursue that. As a byproduct, you may find happiness. You may find success. You certainly will find fulfillment if you chase something much bigger. Loves his family and friends. Leaves a legacy beyond his life. His life is his testimony. Always tells the truth. Lives fully in the virtues. Protects others, especially the young, old, and infirm. That means those that are ill, can't take care of themselves. Expects nothing in return. You guys ever expect? You ever kind of say, I want this. You ever do that? A real man expects nothing in return. Great courage in the face of pain, guilt, and death. That's called triad. It's the things that make us fearful, mostly. Stoic response to everything. Does anybody know what stoic is?
Is it like kind of like stony, not stony, but like kind of calm?
Yeah, exactly. There was a group of, was it ancient Greeks? Stoicism, exactly. Stoicism. About being fully grounded and be able to handle challenges. Actually putting yourself through challenges over and over again, pretty much. And love is his greatest goal. Does anybody else notice something about this slide that's kind of unique? It's a little subtle.
Jesus was that man.
All the H's, his, him, are capitalized because I'm talking about him.
Bless you.
Good time. This, if we choose to live the greatest life we possibly can, this is the way we're supposed to live, like Jesus. If we pursue this, and even if we never quite get there, really hard to, right? He was perfect. At least we'll live a great life. If you ever want to give an argument to your atheist friends, just say, hey, you can choose to believe this is a story. But I'll tell you what, if you choose to live a life like this, you live the best, most fulfilling life you could possibly imagine. So, now I'm not going to make this your homework, but I will suggest that if you believe any of the things that we were talking about today, that you seriously consider this.
I'm serious.
Get an accountability partner. That's the person who is going to make you stick to the things that you know are important in your life. That could be a friend. Heck, it could be your mom, your dad. It could be anybody, your brother. Get somebody who's going to hold you accountable, and you should do the same thing for them, hopefully. Write your purpose and your why. Why are you here? What are you supposed to be doing? Align that with the roles we talked about. What roles you occupy. Like my son, protector, and some other roles that you could possibly imagine. Write a vision. What's the next step in each one of the roles that you occupy? Whether it's school, being a brother, a son. And then I challenge you to get up and stand in front of people like this and speak them out loud. That's really accountability. That's it, guys. Any questions? Unless anybody has any questions right now. Dad's got questions for you that will take you further through this description and through this discussion.
All right, guys, you guys know the drill. High schoolers in the back. Give Mr. Engel another round of applause. You know the drill. High schoolers in the back. Mr. Lewis is going to be leading our 8th graders. So 8th grade. Well, Mr. Lewis. High schoolers.